Wednesday, January 3rd, 2026. In the heart of Venezuela, at approximately 2:01 a.m., the city goes black as an elite team of Delta Force and FBI hostage rescue team operators fly low and fast over Caracas, with over 100 aircraft following in the stack. Air defense systems are quickly destroyed as the teams arrive on target, moving with urgency to capture a dictator and narco kingpin who refused to believe his day would come. This is the capture of Nicolás Maduro. In 2013, Nicolás Maduro was named the successor of Hugo Chavez after a snap election, which he only won by a small margin. And after very publicly refusing a recount, his term began with his legitimacy in question.
Money.
The economy imploded, oil production cratered, inflation exploded, and public support evaporated. Maduro's regime responded not with reform, but repression. Courts were weaponized, media were silenced, opposition leaders were jailed or exiled. By 2018, Maduro's re-election was widely condemned as fraudulent. Major opposition parties were banned, candidates were disqualified, and international recognition collapsed. From that point forward, Maduro remained in power not through consent, but through control of the military and security services. Venezuela stopped functioning as a political state and began operating as something else entirely, and that something was a narco state. For years, U.S. investigators documented how Venezuela became one of the most important cocaine transit hubs on Earth. Senior military officers, intelligence officials, and regime insiders facilitated shipments moving from Colombia through Venezuelan airspace and ports, then onward to Central America, Mexico, the Caribbean, and the United States. And this network became known as the Cartel of the Suns, named after the sun insignia worn by Venezuelan generals. The regime worked directly with Colombia, providing protection, logistics, and safe haven in exchange for revenue and leverage. Cocaine flights departed from military-controlled airstrips, and maritime shipments moved through the regime-protected ports, and billions of dollars flowed through the shell companies. And these networks extended beyond Colombia. Venezuelan facilitators worked with Mexican cartels, including Sinaloa and Zetas, who controlled distribution routes through Mexico and into the United States. By 2020, Venezuela's narcotics roll was no longer a rumor. By March of that year, the United States Department of Justice unsealed charges against Maduro. And by 2024, the United States stopped treating Venezuela's narcotics network as a law enforcement problem and started treating it like a hostile logistics system. Intelligence tracked cocaine shipments, and U.S. naval and air assets began intercepting those routes aggressively through a series of airstrikes.
Today's strike is the fourth known U.S. attack on suspected Venezuelan drug boats since early September.
You have proof. All you have to do is look at the cargo.
From this point forward, escalation became inevitable. Maduro publicly condemned the strikes, but privately, intelligence showed his inner circle scrambling, shifting routes, accelerating shipments, tightening security, and leaning harder on foreign partners to keep the money flowing. This was the moment Venezuela crossed from sanctioned adversary to active confrontation. And by July of 2025, the United States Treasury designated Cartel of the Suns as a specially designated global terrorist organization. And by November, The State Department escalated that, naming Cartel of the Suns as a foreign terrorist organization, with Maduro at its head. But Maduro wasn't backing down. That terrorist designation, framing the Venezuelan regime as both narco-terrorist and illegitimate, was not just semantics. It was the legal and political hinge point that turned escalating pressure into a mandate for action.
É muito tempo de resiliência.
By late 2025, the Trump administration was not only sanctioning oil tankers and striking alleged trafficking vessels in the Caribbean, it was systematically degrading Venezuela's ability to support narcotics networks. And Maduro's flirtations with China, Russia, and Iran, including Hezbollah, combined with his repeated public boasts of defiance of U.S. warnings, convinced the United States that Maduro was a threat that had to go. Planning for this operation had already been underway for months. U.S. military planners built a full-scale replica of Maduro's safe house. But before we get into the raid, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Alright, once again, we're going to search my best friend's name in Google. He loves the clout. Let's publicly talk about his personal life. Look at the results. He studied liberal arts at the University of Phoenix. He now lives in New York City as an intern for the mayor. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is flooded with spam, this is why. There are these sad excuses of companies called data brokers that sell your data. They do it without your consent, and they make billions selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make it almost impossible to do. That is why I recommend today's sponsor, Aura, to all of my friends and family, and to you. They take care of the hard part by automatically removing your information from data broker lists, and most importantly, keeping it off. Aura works around the clock to keep your personal information and data safe. And by automatically opting out of data broker lists, Aura has significantly reduced the number of spam calls that I receive. In fact, the number of female calls that I receive has increased by 600%. But that's not even all they do. Aura provides comprehensive protection in one convenient place. That includes antivirus software, a VPN for secure browsing, secure password management, identity theft insurance, credit monitoring, and I've even noticed an increase in gains in the gym. And I don't go to a gym, I am the gym. You don't need to subscribe monthly to multiple apps. Aura consolidates everything you need into one convenient place, saving you time, money, and storage. If you want to shove it up a data broker's database and protect your information, well, Aura is offering you a 2-week free trial, so you're in luck. Simply go to aura.com/popomedic or check the link in the description and protect you and your family's information today. The teams rehearsed breach scenarios, preparing for a high-stakes capture mission rather than a traditional strike. The idea was to no longer pressure or isolate Maduro. The order from the top was now to seize him directly and bring him to justice on federal charges, removing the central figurehead of the narco state and dealing a decisive blow to the Cartel of the Suns. Delta Force, the DEA, and FBI hostage rescue team rehearsed the op meticulously, and all 3 units stood by for the go-ahead. And on December 30th, President Trump approved the operation. On Friday night, at 10:46 p.m. Eastern, he gave the final go-ahead, and the operation name, Absolute Resolve. At 2:01 a.m. local time, the strike phase beginning with a massive air package with reports of over 150 aircraft. And the purpose was simple: blind the regime, stun the response, and carve a corridor for the assault force. Venezuelan's air defenses, most of them supplied by China and Russia, were rapidly disabled. Then, the city went dark, with the assistance of U.S. Cyber Command. and fast, Delta Force sweeps in with a 1/60th sword. Fighters and bombers provide air cover, and when the helicopters take fire, the birds answer with overwhelming force. One helicopter is hit, damaged, but still flies and completes its objective. Delta and the FBI quickly arrive on target and fast rope onto the roof of Maduro's safe house. The hybrid entry team moves fast and swiftly kill all members of Maduro's personal security detail. And as Maduro tries to make a run for a safe room, he and his wife are grabbed at the door, and the FBI execute the arrest warrant. As they exfil, multiple self-defense engagements ensue. By 3:20 a.m. Eastern, the helicopters are back over the water with Maduro and his wife on board and taken aboard the USS Iwo Jima. A sitting head of state, captured in his own capital, wasn't just international news. It was a historic message in real time. Reports indicate that approximately 30 to 75 were killed during the operation, none of which were U.S. personnel. The legal and geopolitical shockwaves hit. International law experts and observers argue the raid violates the UN Charter's prohibition on the use of force against another state's territorial integrity, rejecting the framing that this was merely executing an arrest warrant. Supporters argue Maduro lacked legitimacy after disputed elections, and critics responded, legitimacy debates don't authorize cross-border military force. And then, there's the bigger message. Reuters reports U.S. officials describing the Maduro raid as also sending a signal to both China and Russia, as both countries' air defense systems were rendered useless against U.S. capabilities. And Maduro had even met China's special envoy just hours before he was captured, suggesting Beijing was blindsided. Some reports claim the use of a sonic weapon, resulting in hundreds of Venezuelan soldiers becoming effectively stunned, with some allegedly suffering nosebleeds from the sound as a side effect, but these claims have not been verified. And as the world debates and argues over this controversial raid, maybe we should take a look at the Venezuelans and their reaction to their quote-unquote president being captured.
Many Venezuelans here in the U.S. and around the world celebrating the end of Maduro's rule.
What's up, guys? SHOT Show's coming up. I'm going to be there next week. If any of you are going, come say what's up. I'll be around the Black Rifle booth and just cruising around with some friends. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the holidays. Be sure to subscribe. There's a lot more mini docs in the works. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.